Guys, I am back. Hello, welcome back to the channel. So, Queen of Ewood here. I hope everybody is having a safe and well evening today. So, today's game, we are playing Watford down at Ewood Park. Now, I'm not going to do a matchday vlog or anything like that. I actually have Danny Graham's match interview with BBC Radio Lancashire live. It's about 57 minutes long, so I don't know if everybody has heard this interview or not. It talks about life at Blackburn, it talks about his transfer, talks about his retirement, it even talks about Coyle, and yeah, I just find it really interesting. And me and my dad listened to it tonight before the game, and we just said, what a true man. So if you want to hear that, then I will try and bring that interview to the channel. So that is what I'm going to do. So
great to see you. Thank you for your time. You've been retired from football for a week or more now. Just tell us what it's been like not going into work, doing something that you've been doing for years.
Yeah, strange, obviously. I think there's going to be a transitional period for myself. You know, not having that day-to-day routine of getting up, going to training, you know, going into the dressing room, winding people up and, you know, going out to train and stuff like that. I will find that probably hard in the coming weeks, but at the minute it's been kind of, you know, a bit of a relief to, you know, I think it's been in the back of my mind maybe 2 or 3 months, this decision to come. But on the flip side of that, I've managed to spend time with the kids every day and being able to do stuff with them, even though, you know, the COVID's going on and stuff like that. Still, it's been nice to spend every day with them, and, you know, I think they're glad having me home as well, which makes it a bit easier for myself.
You say you've been thinking about it for a few months. What was it in January that made you think, yeah, enough's enough, I'm ready to finish now? Because not many players finish in the middle of a season.
Yeah, listen, I went to Sunderland and, you know, Phil Parkinson, we sat down and we had several conversations about me role moving forward with the club, and, you know, that never came through. I found myself in the team, out of the team, and, you know, out of the team for long periods, and then back in after 6 or 7 weeks, and it was difficult to get going. Obviously the new gaffer come in, Lee Johnson, he had his ways and means of playing football, and he didn't seem that I would get that much game time as well. So, you know, when we came to the decision to cancel the contract, you know, I felt as though it was the right decision for me to hang the boots up and start something else.
I'm pretty sure you'd have got a club if you wanted one, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I had championship clubs on the phone, to be honest. You know, 2 days before announcing the retirement, obviously I knew then that I was going to retire, but nothing was out there in the media side of it. But there was championship teams there. But, you know, they say when you know, and I certainly felt that way. So I didn't want to go and sign someone and not give it 100%. I've never done that in my career, so I don't want to start now.
What was it, Danny? Was it going into training that you just were thinking it's not quite the same anymore? Was it the match day environment? What was it?
It was a bit of everything, to be honest. You never think that's going to come, and you never think you're going to have that feeling, because, you know, everyone dreams of being a footballer as a young kid, and, you know, you never think that's going to come. You hear people say it and you kind of laugh it off and say that'll never happen to me, but it does. It comes around, and, you know, that was it. It was going into training and, you know, not feeling the same as I had in previous years, and the same with games. And when that starts happening, you know, I didn't want to hang on and go and play somewhere else where I wouldn't, like I said before, give 100%.
In some ways, do you wish when you left Blackburn Rovers you'd have made the call then?
I think it's easy saying that now. Football swings and roundabouts, you have highs and lows. Listen, my career's been full of them, so I don't know. Would it have been nice to end my career at Blackburn? Yes, 100%. But, you know, I felt there's always an opportunity for me to go to Sunderland and do well and try and get the club out of League One. But, you know, that didn't work out, so that's just part and parcel of football.
And did things like the current climate we're living in maybe escalate the idea as well that getting to a football stadium completely empty, not having the buzz of a full match day experience, did that have an impact?
Yeah, it did. I think it had a big impact. On stuff like, if I had played till the end of the season, I probably would have hung my boots up as well, and the kids wouldn't have got the chance to come to the last game in any way. So there's a lot of factors behind it. But like I said before, I felt as though the time was right. I'm glad I've made the decision, and like I say, I'm moving forward now and looking at the next chapter.
So the next chapter, I'm sure you're going to take your time and make the right one for you. Does it involve football?
Yeah, it'll involve football, yeah. Something I've had in the back of my mind for a while. I'm not going to give too much away yet because nothing's been concrete the way I want to go with it stuff. So it will be within football. It's something I'm looking forward to and something I can give 100% to, and that's what I need, a bit of routine back in my life quickly, and hopefully that can happen.
Yeah, you've got too much experience in the game not to share it, haven't you?
Yeah, I'd like to think so. I'd like to think I've gathered a lot of experience over 600 games and moving around to different clubs and stuff like that, meeting different people. It was a hell of a ride, and if I can give something back, then I would like to do that.
Just reflecting on it, how proud are you of what you've done? Because you mentioned that 600 games. It's not many footballers come out with that many.
Yeah, I'm immensely proud. I remember growing up as a young lad in Gateshead, dreaming of playing football and getting several knockbacks from several clubs, and never giving up. And to get over 600 games, it's a massive achievement. And I will probably look back in a few more weeks when everything's settled down a bit, because you retire and it's a bit strange afterwards. But I haven't had a chance to sit down and reminisce too much about me career, but I'm sure I will do over due course.
I think anyone who's seen your post on Instagram when you stopped playing, the number of former footballers who you played with at so many different places, all sending their best to you. You must have had loads of messages.
Yeah, the phone was it was red hot for a few days, to be honest. It's nice to get all them messages, but it is hard to digest it all within 1 or 2 days. Looking through the messages and seeing the amount of positive comments I had, and people from home, friends, family, the amount of lovely messages I received was massive, and it was nice to see that. So it was a mad few days, but it's settled down a bit now, which I'm pleased about.
Started out with Middlesbrough, being a Newcastle United fan. What was that like?
Yeah, it was fine. Listen, I always had a dream of playing football, whoever that was for, it didn't matter to me. You always want a chance to get into the professional game, and Middlesbrough gave me that chance, and I'm forever grateful for them. I still live around the area now. My kids are born in Middlesbrough, so it's a club I'll hold close to my heart because of the simple fact they give me a chance in a professional game.
Did you used to go to Newcastle as a kid, Danny? Were you someone who'd go and watch them?
Yeah, I used to go, but then obviously as you get a bit older, you're playing football Saturdays, Sundays, and that's all I live for. I would play every Friday, Saturday, Sunday as much as I could, and that kind of got in the way of going to football matches.
Was Shearer possibly the biggest hero?
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, I think any Newcastle fan, what he's done for Newcastle United, and obviously Blackburn as well, which is great. Obviously winning the league there, but as a number 9, Shearer for me growing up was the ultimate number 9.
And you got to present him with his Hall of Fame award at Blackburn Rovers, didn't you? And for someone who's a hero to so many, it must have been a great experience, that.
Yeah, it was great, to be honest. Obviously when I first heard about it off the club, it was something that kind of took me by surprise. But once we got there and we met all the older pros, it was great, and they had great banter as well, and we were sitting listening to them and some of their stories, and it was great to hear. And obviously with Shearer being such a massive hero of mine, it was great to share the same company with him.
Do you think, Danny, that your career has spanned almost 2 completely different eras of football? That when you started out, the senior pros would have been probably in the pub in the afternoons, or probably most likely in the pub in the afternoons, and maybe not the athletes that they are today. And now it's gone the complete opposite. Would that be fair to say when you started that life as a pro footballer was totally different?
Totally different. I remember, growing up in the Middlesbrough youth, coming through the Middlesbrough youth team and through the ranks and stuff, and we had the likes of Ray Parlour at the club at the time, and seeing the way them boys used to go out and have a drink in the social life is completely night and day to what it is now. It's like you say, it's gone full circle. I think football's moving on in terms of fitness and speed and everything along with it, and tactics, everything else now. You don't see many 4-4-2s or anything like that in the game anymore. Football's moving on, and I've probably got out at the right time for my sake.
Are you quite glad you got to experience a little bit of that side of it? Because a lot of footballers that I speak to who are long since retired and a lot older than you actually would say that they're glad they're not playing now. They really enjoyed when they played. They might not have earned millions of pounds from playing, but they had a really good time.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think I've probably said that once or twice before as well. Football has changed a lot. There's a lot to do with sports science, and medical teams have a lot more say than when I first started out. So football has changed. For the better, probably. In terms of team spirit, maybe it's not as good in terms of having that social aspect of it away from the club. Because if you see a group of 20 footballers going out now and having a meal and a bit of a day session, it's all over the newspaper and stuff like that. So it was good to be part of both. But like I say, I am glad I'm kind of out of the game now, and I can relax certainly a bit more.
How was it to readjust? So you're probably in your early 20s or mid 20s, and someone says, right, we've got to cut that out. We've got to live a completely different lifestyle. You can't do that anymore. You can't do that anymore. What was it like?
I didn't readjust. Stayed the same. I've at the right times, still go out and socialise 100%. I do. That's me. That's who I am. I enjoyed that side of it. So obviously you adjust to a certain extent because of the pace of the game and the amount of games you possibly have now in a season. So you just have to find the right balance within that. So now for the first Saturday in about 18 years, I was sat watching Soccer Saturday with a beer and the kids and the missus, and just sat there chilled out watching it, and it was quite enjoyable.
I bet it felt really good, didn't it?
Left me wanting more, to be honest, but yeah, it did, yeah.
Was there a manager at a certain stage of your career that tried to change you, Danny, and you knew he wasn't going to succeed?
No, I don't think it got that far. In terms of overstepping the mark, I don't think it ever got that far where someone tried to rein me in or stuff like that. A lot of people said to me, do it at the right times. Which a lot of people do now. Even the big players, they'll sit in the house and still have a drink, just because it's not in the public eye. People probably think they're not doing that, but that's just the way it is with football. You're in the limelight and everyone looks up to you, so it's tough to get away with going out and having a few beers these days.
You had a few loans when you were just coming through at Borough, didn't you? One of them being one of the clubs that we follow closely, Blackpool. In 2006, under Simon Grayson, you scored at Bristol City. When you look back on loans like that, you'd already been to Derby and Leeds, and I would imagine the facilities at those two, with all respect to Blackpool, were completely different. And then you go to Blackpool. What did you find when you got there?
If I remember correctly, it was next to an airfield, I think. It was like sort of porter cabin huts kind of feel about it, but nothing ever really bothered me, to be honest. I was just glad to be playing football, no matter what the facilities were like or anything like that. I was a young boy trying to make a name in the game, so to go to Blackpool and, obviously I think I only scored one. I don't think I was there for that long, if I recall correctly. So it was nice to go out and experience different sides to football, whether that be, like you said, a Leeds United or a Derby or a Blackpool. So it was great to get that experience and get some first team minutes under my belt.
You'd already made your debut for Borough by then, hadn't you? And your debut came against Manchester United. You don't get, in 2003 with that team, you don't get much better debuts than that, do you?
No, you don't. I remember it well, obviously. The game finished 1-1. A certain Stuart Downing scored for Middlesbrough. Alan Smith scored for Manchester United. So to come on in that game, my Premier League debut, after only being at the club 18 months, signing youth team forms was a special feeling, and something that'll live along with me in the memories of making me first team debut at Man U. I don't think many people can actually say that, to be honest.
Yeah, looking at that team, Manchester United had Ronaldo in it, Rooney in it, Van Nistelrooy, Giggs. Blimey, your team wasn't bad either, was it? The likes of Mendieta, Zenden, Boateng. Gareth Southgate was playing that day as well.
Southgate, yeah, Swarter. We had some really good pros in that team, to be honest. It was a good game. I remember it quite well, to be honest. It was a really good game, and even likes of when I was coming through and I started training with the first team, we had Viduka, Hasselbank, Macaroni, Zellad Nemeth, Joseph Job. So for me, it was great to train with them, watch them do their finishing, and get tips off them, which was was massive for me at that tender age.
You replaced Stuart Downing that day with 3 minutes to go. Do you remember your message from the manager? Send you on at Old Trafford?
It was a simple one, to be honest. I do remember he just says, go and enjoy yourself. You've deserved this. So, I just kind of ran on the pitch. And it's funny because everyone says you get nervous. You're probably nervous when you stand on the sideline. But once you get on that pitch, your mind somehow just flips into game mode. And, you don't realise there's 70-odd thousand plus in the stands. You're just getting on with your job. And, obviously you notice the crowds at the end when you're coming off and the game sort of finished. But, in terms of nerves, yes, probably standing there on the sideline, but getting onto the pitch, they just disappear very quickly.
I know that you played 15 times in that first spell with Borough, but when it came to an end, Danny, were you gutted, or were you thinking, I need to go for the sake of my career?
No, I knew I needed to go, yeah. I'd had a loan spell at Carlisle where I think I'd scored 7 in 12, 13 games, maybe towards the back end of the season, and I loved every minute of that, and I loved the fact that I was playing first team football week in, week out. So I think I was 21-ish, maybe 22 going on, and I felt it was the right stage of my career to move on and try and build myself a name and do well in League One and then progress to the Championship and then try and progress on from there. And it was certainly the right decision looking back, 100%.
Yeah, it panned out exactly the way you mentioned it there, didn't it? A couple of years at Carlisle and a move to Watford. The first time you've been south in your career, but that was a bit of a culture shock, wasn't it? Carlisle to Watford.
Yeah, to be fair, I still lived in Gateshead when I was at Carlisle. We travelled across. There was me, Michael Bridges, Chris Lumsden, Paul Anderson, a few of the older boys. We used to travel across in a car school, so it was great fun driving across to Carlisle. We had some great laughs. Carlisle was similar. We got changed in the stadium dressing room, and then the training pitches were behind the stadium. So to experience that and go and work hard, and I had the bit between my teeth there to say, listen, I need to try and prove myself in these leagues and get back up the pyramid, and that's how it kind of worked out for me.
What a player and what a character Michael Bridges is.
Yeah, very much so. There's some stories, but I can't tell them on yet because it'll get shut down. Some really good stories, really good guy. I still speak to Bridgie now. Obviously he's in Australia, but what a great guy, and he had some ability and just very unlucky with injuries throughout his career.
Did you learn a lot from him, playing alongside him or playing with him?
Yes, I did, yeah. He was great. I think I remember a game at Leeds where we were very good. Me and Bridgie scored away at Leeds and we beat them 2-0, and we had some really good times together. Bridgie he was very clever on the ball. He would drop into the right spaces, and he could get turned and find me, and vice versa. So it was a good partnership. I did learn a lot from him. I learned a lot of banter off him as well, which helped over the years as well.
And then to go to Watford from Carlisle, had you pretty much decided your contract was up, you wanted to progress your career?
Yeah, well, obviously I knew there was sort of interest from the league above, so my contract was there. They obviously offered me a new deal, and it was nothing to do with the football club. I really enjoyed my time there. It was all about progression and having that chance to play in the Championship week in, week out, and seeing if I could prove myself at that level.
Did you find yourself quite at home quite early in the Championship, Danny?
Yeah, I did. I think I started off really well at Watford. I scored on my debut, and I think maybe scored 6 in the first 12 games or so. And I was playing really well, and then I had a bit of a dip during the season. Heide Helgeson come in, but in between that dip, it was also great for me because I learned a lot of Heide and the way he used his body, the way he held up the ball, the little positions he would find just in between the centre halves. Because he scored a lot of headed goals. It gave me a chance to work with him and watch him, and obviously when I was younger I was a bit more quicker than I was when I come to Blackburn, but I seen a chance to develop the other side of my game in terms of using my body, holding the ball up, and getting in the right places in the box.
You had a great scoring season with Watford, didn't you? Top scorer in the Championship.
Yeah, that was the second season. Yeah, I think it was 24 in the league and 27 altogether. I don't think I know. I'm not going to lie. I know. Yeah, it was. It was a great season. I remember there was a lot of interest in January, but Malky said, "Listen, just please stay, see it out. And we'll let you leave at the end of the season." Because he said no doubt there'll be bids coming in. So stayed out, mate. I'm really glad I did because I love Watford. I love the area. Living just outside of St Albans, and it was a great experience in terms of living all my life in the northeast, and then moving to North London was invaluable for me. It helped me grow as a man as well. Being down there and standing on my own 2 feet.
Just when you're on that sort of scoring season, do you go into every game thinking, I'm going to score today?
Yeah, every game. From the very first game at Norwich away on the Friday night, I felt confident going into the season. I finished the season strongly the year before. I was ready for kind of a good season. I didn't envision it being 27 goals, but I was confident going into every game. There was a lot of spells where I was scoring 9 and 6s and 9 and 7s and stuff like that. So it was a brilliant season, but a lot of the credit was, we had Don Cowie on one wing, Will Buckley on the other wing, and they were putting balls in left, right and centre, and it wasn't easy for me to score, but I was getting a lot of chances to put my name up in lights.
It's funny, isn't it, when so many strikers say your wide players are so important, and the way the game's going, there's hardly any left.
Yeah, they're all playing inside now, and you've got a right footer, playing left, and he coming in and shooting all the time, and on the other side it's the same. In terms of that, it's probably a big frustration of mine, being sort of an old school centre forward. It's a bit of a dying breed now in football. It's all false 9s and 9.5s and stuff like that now, which I've never ever heard of. But listen, there's some great managers out there, so I'm not going to argue with them.
So if you become a manager one day, will 4-4-2 be back?
4-4-2.
Like Mike Bassett, England manager.
Mike Bassett, that would be me, yeah. I'll be on the bar and
everything. It got you moved to Swansea, didn't it? £3.5 million they paid for you. You played under Michael Laudrup there. Just give us an idea of what Swansea is like as a city, about playing in Wales. A lot of people get the wrong idea that Wales is just obsessed with rugby union. It is, of course it is, but they love their football as well.
Yeah, the two football clubs in Wales, Cardiff and Swansea, is a massive following. Obviously, we all know rugby in Wales is massive, but I think when Swansea got in the Premier League, there was a different look towards football. Even the rugby boys were at some of the games and sending messages to the boys, and I think there was a real swing when that happened. And then obviously Cardiff got up a few years later as well, so I think football is on the rise in Wales. But in terms of Swansea as a city, it's great. Friendly people, nice place to live. You've got the Mumbles and stuff like that, which is on the seafront down in South Wales. It's a beautiful area, like I said, beautiful people, and also it's good in the terms where the fans are always great. They don't really expect too much, so if you're going through a tough spell, they still get right behind you, and that's quite rare in football these days. So great set of fans, and I've really enjoyed me 18 months or 2 years there.
Did you ever manage to get out and watch the rugby union? Because that's quite a special environment if you're out socially.
Yeah, no, I haven't, to be honest. I didn't get a chance. If I'm being perfectly honest, I'm not a big rugby fan myself. it's always been a bit of football and golf, really, to be honest. I'll watch a golf and that's about it. Can't watch cricket, anything like that. It's not for me.
No cricket, no?
Nothing. No. Richie Smallwood, bane of my life when he was at Blackburn with cricket. And snooker. Nightmare.
Would he have it on the radio driving home?
Oh, he'd have it on his phone, like sitting in the car and stuff, and I'm just like, Richie, turn it off, please. I've got to drive 2 hours here.
Swansea, you weren't there overly long, were you? But you had good times there. Was it expected that you were going to go in that January, or I think they were close to reaching the cup final, weren't they?
Yeah, we beat Chelsea in the semi-final. We beat them away 2-0, and then we drew 0-0 at home to get to the final. But I wasn't playing as much as in the second season with Loudrop, purely because Michu come in and hit the ground flying, and he had an unbelievable season. So, I couldn't argue with that. And then I had the chance to leave, where I'd spoke to Martin O'Neill, obviously, before signing at Sunderland, and it was all about playing football. There was no other reason. I've always been one of them guys. If I'm not playing, then the chances there to move on, it's right for both parties. That's perfect, because football's a short career. You want to rack up as many games as you can. I keep telling all the young lads now, and I see a lot of them sitting around and not going on loan and stuff like that. I think you can't be going out on loan and getting games and minutes as a young lad. So I've always had that mentality where if I'm not playing and it's right for both parties, and I can go and play someone else, then that's probably best for me.
You've just mentioned, really, without mentioning him by his name, Danny, you've just mentioned exactly what Harry Chapman's doing right now, someone you know really well, and look how much he's succeeding from it.
I've had this conversation with Chappie for ages, and listen, I don't know what's been said between Harry and the gaffer or Harry and the board at Blackburn, but he's needed this for 18 months at least to go and play and go and express himself, go and get some confidence. I think his confidence did get knocked a little bit at Blackburn in terms of, the second time he come, he didn't really play a lot. He wasn't in the squads, and he was doing well in the under-23s, but then, not being anywhere near it on the Saturday. So I think that kind of hit him a bit hard. Chappie's he's well, everyone knows what he's like. He drives at people, he puts the ball in the box, and the most surprising thing for me now at Shrewsbury, he's scoring goals as well. A couple with his left foot, which I'm very surprised about. But I'm in touch with Harry quite a lot. I speak to him after most games, and hopefully this is the start of a good career for Chappie.
I think he sees you as a bit of a mentor, doesn't he?
Don't know why. Yeah, I think if you speak to a lot of people, I'll probably say the same thing. I'm always trying to help people. I'm always trying to give advice to younger lads or even senior pros, whoever it is. I've always been that way inclined to try and help everyone. It's never ever been just about me, and I think that was seen within my time with Blackburn. So yeah, Chappie does look up to me. So I'm pleased for him, but I just want him to kick on now, and I think he sort of wasted a couple of years, to be honest with you. So if he can kick on now, I'll be very happy for him.
Well, you went to Sunderland from Swansea, didn't you? Your first spell there. If you could sum up your time and your first spell there, how would you do it? Because for whatever reason, it just didn't seem to happen for you, did it?
Yeah, it's just tough, just very tough. I can't blame the club, I can't blame anything around it. It's just one of them moves that did not work out for myself. Obviously I went in, and within 3 or 4 games Martin O'Neill had been sacked, and then I find myself out the squad, out the dressing room with 3 of the managers after that, and then find myself back in the team and back in the squads, and it was just a complete up and down turbulent time at Sunderland, through no fault of myself or the football club. I just put it down to it was one of their moves that never worked out. I've
never really understood, Danny, that you say sometimes you're not even in the dressing room. Why do some managers go down that route, even if they think your time will be better somewhere else? Is it not the right thing to do to treat everybody fairly?
I think so. I don't. Listen, if I'd been in there and I was kicking up a fuss or something like that and I'd done something wrong, 100% kick me out of the dressing room or whatever you want to do. But that happened on three separate occasions with three different managers. I found myself in and out of the first team dressing room, and it was hard. And I think I've said it before. I think I lost a lot of love for the game after that first spell up there. It's something that was very tough, hard to deal with. Never had that sort of stormy time in my career, so it was very tough to handle. And I probably took it home on most weekends when I wasn't involved and stuff like that. And I probably shouldn't have done, but that's just the way football goes. It's filled you with massive highs and massive lows, and it was just a tough time, to be honest.
Was your confidence shot just being sent out on loan here, there and everywhere for a little bit and trying to get game time? I think you went to Wolves, you went to Hull, you went to Middlesbrough, and it was not until you got to Blackburn Rovers, was it really, that you managed to find somewhere that you thought, yeah, might have found somewhere here?
Yeah, it was tough, going out on loan again. And you kind of think like 27, 28-year-old, your loan days are kind of behind you, and I find myself going on, like you say there, 3 different loans. And I remember finishing the season at Middlesbrough where I think I'd scored 6 in 18 games, and I was kind of hoping there was a possibility that something would happen there, and that never materialised. And then I found myself going out on loan again the following season, and it was tough. But like you say, I never really found a home after within them clubs until I come to Blackburn, certainly.
I think that the day you announced your retirement on social media, I put that I felt that you were going through a tough time, and so were Blackburn Rovers, and you kind of needed each other at this stage of time. That Rovers were going through trauma after trauma off the pitch as well as on it, and you needed a club to believe in you, and it was a kind of just an immediate sort of relationship that sparked, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was strange, because I remember signing and hearing people saying, he's not done well in 3 years and stuff like that, and Jordan Rhodes was leaving, is he going to replace Jordan Rhodes and stuff like that. So when you're in that sort of frame of mind, you kind of pick up on things, and I certainly picked up on that. And obviously there was a time where I thought, I just need to go and play. And obviously Blackburn come in strongly with Paul Lambert. Went and met him, spoke to him, and I'm so glad I did. I'm so glad I spoke to him and drove down and got the deal sorted, because I had great times at Watford and Swansea and Middlesbrough coming through, but I didn't have nowhere near as many good times as I did with Blackburn Rovers. And then 4.5 years, it was probably the first time in my life I'd been at a football club where I envisioned myself staying and carrying on playing football, which was great to have after the Sunderland spell.
The fans took to you from day one, didn't they? Which is a massive thing for someone who'd gone through a tough 3 years.
Yeah, they did. I think it helped. I scored 2 or 3 games in against Fulham. The keeper shot one in, so I owe him a bit of a thank you. But yeah, listen, I think that's exactly what I needed. Just a scruffy goal to go in, get me up and running, and then after that, I could just feel myself every day in training. Felt sharp, I felt better, and then the more games come, the more goals I was scoring. I just continuously felt myself rising, back up to enjoying the football. And once I enjoy football, it's easy to do. It's easy to go into training and have a laugh and a carry on, and flip from being daft down in the dressing room to right, we're training now. And then as soon as we come back off the training pitch, someone's car's getting moved. That's just the way it was. It was just such a good place, and we had such a good camaraderie on and off the pitch, and I think that's exactly what I needed at that time in my career.
I think some fans were hoping you were being signed to play alongside Jordan Rhodes, and your partnership lasted 1 match.
Charlton?
Yeah,
Charlton away, yeah, I remember. Listen, there was a lot of speculation about Rhodesy, and I thought with his goal scoring record, there was always going to be a chance he was going to get a move. So I think I was probably coming in to replace Rhodesy more than play alongside him, yeah, pretty much. But if Jordan stayed, would have been the same? I don't know. So possibly it was a bit of a blessing on my part, but we'll never know. So
what was Paul Lambert like, Danny?
I liked him, I really liked him. He was honest. You know, there was a lot of talk about getting backing from the owners, and he said if he wasn't going to get backing from the owners, then he was going to, you know, step aside, and that's what he done. He was great with me. I think I was what 29, 30 at the time, and I remember he would ask every day on a Friday, me, Elliot Ward, you know, the sort of 30 pluses, how do you feel on a Friday and stuff, and you know, sometimes you do feel stiff on a Friday. He's like, right, stay inside, get yourself a coffee, get a massage, come out for set pieces, get yourself in. Just knew how to manage players, and sometimes that's great. I think managers now look at it where if you don't train, then well, you're not ready. But sometimes if you give someone a rest, they're more ready than they are than actually doing the training on the Friday. So he was great with all the older lads, and I thought if he had stayed, I thought we might have done half decent, to be honest.
I think a lot of the players felt pretty similar to you. I think a lot of the players liked Paul Lambert. When he first got the job, he's probably the only manager who gave me a call and said, I want to see you in my office. And an hour and a half later, I'm still in his office, and he is asking me, you've been around this club a lot longer than I have, tell me everything. And he was really, really good company. And maybe the image that came across when he was manager of Villa or Norwich actually wasn't the same bloke that when you met him that he actually was.
No, I thoroughly enjoyed him. I enjoyed his coaching. I enjoyed him as a human being, as a person, and I enjoyed him as a manager, to be honest. I think, like I said before, mate, I think if he had stayed longer and he had got a bit of a backing, I think he would have been quite successful at Blackburn, to be perfectly honest with you.
Was it still quite a straightforward choice for you when he left to sign permanently?
Yeah, 100%. You know, I was comfortable at the club. I obviously felt the love from the fans and the players and the staff early doors, so the decision was easy, to be honest. Obviously, we had to wait to see who would come in as a new manager and stuff like that, and Kyle come in and rang me up straight away and said, listen, we're trying to get the deal done. And I remember him saying he's trying to get Anthony Stokes from, was he Celtic at the time? Did he come from Celtic?
Yeah, I think so.
So he had some good ideas, but I was always going to sign, so I'm delighted I did. And you know, obviously the Kyle era was a bit tough, to be honest, in terms of the results weren't great, performances weren't great, training sometimes wasn't great, to be honest with you, and I think that kind of showed on the pitch on a Saturday. Yeah,
it was a very tough season to watch. The likes of Shane Duffy leaving after 2 own goals in a game. Everything went wrong that could have done, didn't it, in that first half of the season. I don't think Anthony Stokes lasted much longer. And various things were happening behind the scenes which perhaps wasn't helping either. Were you aware of the unrest at the club? You're going out on the pitch trying to win football matches, but knowing in the background there is a huge disparity between the support base and the owners.
Yeah, well, I think was there a game against Wolves or someone like that, and there was loads of tennis balls thrown on the pitch and stuff like that. That was a kind of first time I'd really noticed it. As players, you kind of, well, certainly I do. I switch off from it. You know, that's between the fans and the owners or whatever was going on there. It was tough. You could kind of sense it within the dressing room from players who had probably been there longer than I had. So, do I think it played a part in us going down? Absolutely not, no. I don't think that had any part of us going down that season. I think, if anything, if the board had have appointed more a bit earlier, I think we would have stayed up quite comfortably. So I don't think that had anything to do with the fans or the unrest between the fans and the things. I just think that was purely down to the management situation.
I would imagine it was a massive change. Owen Coyle leaves and a couple of days later Tony Mowbray comes in. I thinking of the two characters, very, very different people.
Yeah, very different. Well, most of our training session with Owen Coyle was five-a-sides and fun and games, flicking the ball up off crossbars and stuff like that. And, you know, we had meetings about it saying we're not getting enough time with shape and stuff like that. So it was difficult. We went from one end of the scale to the complete like the opposite. With when Tony come in, he had us doing shape every other day. You know, a lot of stuff on teams' weaknesses and strengths and where they can hurt us, where we can hurt them. And with Kylie, we didn't have any of that, to be honest, and I think that's short. I think we had 2 points from 7 games in the first opening 7 games. We were all over the place, and you know, it can't have been nice for the fans to obviously watch that with all the unrest going on with the owners as well.
I heard Ben Marshall interviewed not that long ago, and he talked about that opening game against Norwich, and you're 3-0 down at half time and you got applauded in to the dressing room at half time, which I think a lot of people found a bit strange, to say the least.
So right before every game, I don't know if you can remember, he had a folder when he walked in on a match day. So he had a folder and you like unzip it on the medical bed in front of the changing rooms. And I swear, I haven't got this on purpose. He had an A4 bit of paper like this with a team on. And he would read it out, and then he would like go through like Jason Steele, right? You start the attacks off. If you see a long ball and you can kick it, like blah blah blah. So after a few weeks, we kind of cottoned onto it. Like he sort of had a ritual. He would straighten up all the bed. He'd put the bed head down. He'd unzip. So we started moving all the towels, making them all messy. Then we started putting deep heat on the handles, and he was it got to that point where we're just going to have to mess on with him, because it's a joke. We're trying to get team shape on a Friday and we can't even do it, and he's coming in with his A4 bit of paper with the team on and trying to tell us a lot of tactical stuff we haven't even worked on.
It's remarkable, really.
Don't get me wrong, as a guy, brilliant. He could, if you were down, he could pick you up, not a problem. I always said it, I think I've said it to many people afterwards, I think Owen Coyle would be a brilliant number 2. He'd be a brilliant foil for someone in terms of, you know, how upbeat he is, how much he loves the game, and like I say, he can make someone who's feeling very, very low to being very, very high very quickly.
You did go down though at the end of that season, didn't you, on the final day at Brentford, actually winning the game. When you think of low points in football, where was that?
I was low. I was very low because, you know, I'd come to the club and that was my first full season as a player there, and to get relegated, I was kind of devastated. I was more upset that we didn't change our manager earlier, but it's hard to say as a player at the time. We should have done this. It's not my. I wasn't the only one thinking it, but you know, I couldn't say that. But then I remember I drove back with my dad after the game. I jumped in the car with him, and I remember being halfway up the motorway, and I said, "Nah." I said, "I'm staying." He went, "What?" And I just come out with it. I said, I'm staying next season. I says, I can't leave on that. I can't leave when the club's just gone down. Not with the way they've trapped me since me tough time at Sunderland. I knew pretty much by halfway getting home I was staying and willing to fight to get the club back into the Championship. And not only me, Charlie Mulgrew done the same, Craig Conway, Darrell Lenihan. There was a lot of players who stuck around, and I think it's a massive, massive credit to all of them for sticking around and getting us back out that league at the first attempt. And
did you all, I would imagine, have to take a financial hit for deciding to stay?
Yeah, we all took hits on wages and stuff like that, yeah. I think, you know, what kind of hit home as well was there was staff getting made redundant from the training ground and the stadium and stuff like that. So, listen, that's part and part of football. The money side of it didn't bother me. I don't think it bothered the rest of the lads either. I think we owed Blackburn, we owed the fans, we owed the club, we owed ourselves as well to give it a go and try and get us out of that league at the first attempt.
Does that promotion season hold so many happy memories? Because so many of those away games that year, you filled away ends, you filled stands in the main stand, you filled, I think it was at Bury, you filled both ends at a game. Incredible support that year, and the Rovers fans really, it was almost like they needed it, Danny.
Do you know what I think that season is, looking back now, getting relegated was the best thing that could have happened between players and fans by a mile, because as soon as that season started, I remember we lost to Southend and Doncaster. We were bottom after 2 games, and everyone was thinking, "Oh no, what's going on here?" And then, you know, we stuck together. I remember we beat Bradford away and we had a huddle after the game, and little things like that, and we kind of went along with it, and not something we normally do. It's a bit cringy sometimes. It can become a bit over the top, them huddles, but at that time I think it was the right time to do it. We just won our first game, and we kind of needed to show a bit of togetherness, and I think if that can rub off on the fans as well, that's great. And then what was the run? Did we go on 1 loss in 32? It was just brilliant. Week in, week out. Even some games we weren't playing well, we'd find a way to win. Like you said, the fans would travel in the numbers up and down the country, and it was great to be winning football matches, most weekends, getting the fans back on side, and then come the end of it, getting out of the league at the first attempt.
Just thinking back to that team, the spine of it, there was David Raya, who was just coming through as a goalkeeper, Charlie Mulgrew, who was the captain, Richie Smallwood, who had a fantastic season for you, and yourself and Bradley Dack up the top. And that's not to take away anything from the rest of the players. I'm just thinking of the spine of that team and how well it really operated in that division, Danny. I mean, you and Bradley Dack almost straight away could play off each other.
I think everyone's heard the story where I remember we were looking at Dacky and we were close to getting the deal done. And I was looking at these clips on YouTube and stuff, and I kind of knew straight away he'd suit my style of game at my age, and I knew for a fact I could get him on the second balls and the knockdowns and stuff like that, and it worked ever so well. And when he walked through the door of his agent, I hadn't met him, I hadn't said hello, I hadn't said nothing. I said, "Have you signed?" He went, "Just about." I went, "Good, because I'll get you 15 goals a season," and just walked out laughing. I think he got 17 or 18 that season, and he was a breath of fresh air. I think we needed them new faces, a Dacky, a Smallwood. We needed them to sort of lift the dressing room. Richie I remember the first, I obviously knew about Richie Smallwood through Middlesbrough and stuff like that. He'd come in and he was kicking people in his first day of training and stuff like that. I'm thinking, I'm not going to like this guy. But, I sit here today and he's probably one of my best friends in football. We still speak after every game, and certainly after his games now, not mine anymore, but we still speak, and I think that's what we needed, a couple of new faces to freshen us up. Dom Samuel come in and hit the ground running straight away. So, and then obviously in the January, did we get Armstrong in Jan? I think the signings we got, Jack Payne, were perfect to help us go again in the January. So it was great that, me, David, Charlie, Corey Evans, Dara all stuck around and thingy, and then to add them new faces, I think was massive.
Just on Bradley, you played with him for a good couple of seasons in the Championship and in League One. He's getting back to sharpness now. When you look back at all the quality players that you've played with, where does he rank in them all?
Dacky was destined for the top. 100% he was destined for the top when, from the moment he come in the club, he hit the ground. Well, no, sorry, he didn't hit the ground running. I think it took him a couple of weeks to. I think he scored his first goal at Shrewsbury away. He had a bit of a hamstring injury, didn't he? So he didn't hit the ground running actually. But once he got that first goal, he really took off, and then he took off in the Championship for the 2 seasons, and then obviously, this knee injury is going to set him back. I've spoke to Dacky. He's going to need time, because I know Dacky's personality. He'll be thinking, why am I not back to my best instantly? You've had like a 12-month injury. You've got to be patient. You've got to, build yourself up again and get going and have trust in your knee. Dacky could still go at the top, 100%. I've seen what he was like in his rehab and how careful he was and how committed he was to making sure everything was, done to the button. So he's still got a very good chance of going that way. I just hope he gets back to his best sooner rather than later, because Blackburn needed Bradley Dack in the team, and it can only be good that he's playing week in, week out and getting goals.
I'll be perfectly honest, I didn't see all of his episodes of his reality show. Did you star in any of them?
Oh, that's not me. I was back up in Middlesbrough. Nah.
Very good. Yeah, I've had this conversation with Charlie Mulgrew, and he says don't. As soon as I start the sentence, he's like, don't. Everyone promised to take part, and then everyone backed out.
Yeah, I bet they did as well. No, not for me, that.
No, just on Charlie, we spoke to him last week when you decided you were finishing, and he spoke in glowing terms and said, I wanted him to come to Fleetwood.
The biggest compliment I can pay to Danny is as good as a player on the pitch, he was in goal scorer and handful, and how do I describe it? A player that you don't want to play against. Danny was for us. He was every bit as that off the pitch, and as a man and as a character to have about the place. Sometimes in football it's taken for granted and it's underestimated the contribution a person like Danny can have. He was great in the changing room. He was great with lads coming in. He was somebody everybody liked. And I was disappointed to see him leave Blackburn, to be honest. I thought he was a great player and somebody that you could rely on to hold the ball up and score your goals. So yeah, Danny was a great player and one of the best strikers I played with, and one of the great guys of the game. And I'm sorry to see him retire. In the last second, I tried to get him to come here. Just gave it a go, but his mind was made up, and I wish Danny all the best.
At both ends of the park, how good was he?
But he was brilliant, wasn't he? What did he get? 14 goals in the league one season, and then 10 in the championship. The 24 goals in 2 seasons from centre half. Unbelievable. One of the best left foots I've seen in football. You know, I remember him scoring from a corner at Bristol and Birmingham, and we worked on that in training. We worked on penning the keepers in, and you know, Charlie whipping it right on top of him. That was no fluke. That was stuff we'd worked on because his left foot was that good. Even better human being. Unbelievable banter around the dressing room. Great captain. Just an all-round nice bloke, and obviously, you know, he's had a great career himself at Celtic, and you know, come down to Blackburn and getting us promoted. That header at Doncaster. Great guy. He did try to get me to Fleetwood. So did Dunny. Dunny rang me a few times as well. But no, I had to kindly decline.
It would have been some drive.
Some drive. My back couldn't handle that anymore.
When you think back on your times, what about the Oxford game when you'd already been promoted and Ewood Park was full?
Oh, wait. When was the last time Ewood Park was full? Before that, must have been a good number of years there.
20, probably.
Oh, well, there you go. Then that's how much it must have meant to the fans. To see it full on that last day, knowing we were up, was a special feeling. To have the kids there, the family there. You know, everyone's kids and families were there, and they were all on the pitch afterwards. And you know, it was just a great moment. And I know we come second, and you know, you get a little cup for that, but it doesn't matter. We got promoted. We set out on a journey to get promoted at the first attempt. And you know, after the first 2 games, you're thinking, "Oh, this might not happen." But to go one defeat in 32, and you know, just with a group of lads we did it with, and like I say, I think it just brought the club back together and bonded the fans again, which out of that is the most important thing.
Is that squad one that has a WhatsApp group and chats regularly?
We have you normally have the WhatsApp group when you're in there, when you're at the club, but as soon as you leave, you kindly remove yourself. You don't want to be removed, you just do it yourself. I'm hoping somewhere down the line that's a group of players who get back together and come to Ewood again. You know, as a full group. I don't want anyone missing out. It's got to be everyone who was in that squad. That would be great, but you know, we don't need groups, mate. We still speak regularly. I still speak to Charlie and Stowers, and you know, I could name them all, but I still speak to them all. And I was on the phone to Jono and Elliot Bennett the other week when they're driving up. So great group of lads, great memories, great changing room where some of the banter people wouldn't believe what went on. Hiding cars, cutting up clothes, everything from trainers, you name it, was vandalised, but all in the right way. It doesn't sound like it's in the right way, but it brought us together. The dressing room, the laughs and that we had was something that live with me long down the line, 100%.
Just tell us about the manager. At this moment in time, there's one or two that feel that he's run his race. One or two feel that Blackburn Rovers are just not able to break that glass ceiling of the top 6. What kind of guy is he, and how upset would he be if he knew that people thought that?
I don't think he'd be too upset what people think of him. I don't think he's that sort of character. But what I will say is he took over a team that got relegated, and then now if you look at the team, what he's assembled, having a Harvey Elliott on loan from Liverpool, you know, the Braithwaite or Brantwaite from Everton, you know, players like that. I don't think a couple of years ago Blackburn fans would have thought we'd been in reach. So we've got to remember and give them credit where the club's come from. And you know, is it because of the fact that he mentions the playoffs, he's put a bit too much pressure on himself? Possibly, but I think he's assembled a really good young, attacking, hungry squad. Armstrong, one of his signings, flying, looks like a £20 million player. Rothwell playing in the middle of the park. You know, I think even Ben Barretton's getting there. Beza's getting there. He just needs to add a few more goals. I watch him pick up the ball and drive at people and glide past them. But you know, as a top end of the pitch, you just want him to score that extra 5 or 10 goals a season, which will, you know, help him progress as a player. So I think they've got to look at that. Look at where the club was a few years ago when he took over, and look at the players they've got now. I think it's still going in the right direction. Even if they don't make the playoffs, you know, who do you go and get to come in and move the club forward? I think it's too easy done these days to just change a manager and, you know, someone comes in and sets the club backwards. So it's a tough decision for the owners, or if the fans are upset, I would advise them to stick with them, to be honest.
I know that the fans hold you in such high regard. What message have you got for them after your time with Rovers, Danny?
I'll be back.
In what role? Will you be the manager one day, playing 4-4-2?
Imagine that. Obviously, I didn't get a chance to see everyone when I left, and you know, I think the club really wanted to do that for me. But you know, there's much bigger things going on in the world at the minute than, you know, me come back to Ewood. I'll be back at one point, 100%. I'll be back for games, 2,000,000%. So, you know, I've always said it, that the fans have been a massive part of my life for the last 4.5 years. You know, they got right behind me when I was at a real low point in my football career, so I'll be forever grateful for that, 100%. My kids will always look out for Blackburn, as will I. And like I say, I just can't wait for life to go back to normal, so I can actually come and enjoy a game and, you know, sit at half time and have a little pint and a pie maybe, and, you know, put my feet up.
You sound like you're looking forward to that side of it very much.
Can't wait.
Have you watched anything you've eaten since you retired?
To be fair, I've been training more, you know. I've been getting up at 6 o'clock. And I've got a watt bike and a treadmill and a gym, so I've been trying to do it before the kids get up. So I've been like 35k this morning, then I've been on 10k rides with the kids, taking them out on the electric bikes and stuff, so I'm probably doing more.
That's good going, Danny. There's a lot of players put their feet up and they're about 3 stone heavier by the end of the season.
Yeah, I might be 3 stone heavier by the time I get a chance to come back.